Thanks for staying with us. So, our hot topic today, the federal government has approved the prohibition of money rituals and glamorization of vices in Nigerian films. The News Agency of Nigeria reports that the Executive Director and CEO of the National Film and Video Censors Board, Shebu Hussaini, disclosed this at the National Stakeholders Engagement on a smoke-free Nollywood held in Enugu yesterday. Now, to join the conversation is our guest co-host for today, is none other than Toyosi Etim Efyong in the building. Good to have you.
Great to be here. Finally.
So you're our guest co-host today. Wanted to bring you in the beginning with the paper review. Said you could not stress you too much.
Thank you.
Good to have
you. I loved it though.
But you look amazing.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
gorgeous this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, ladies, this topic. Kanayo Kanayo is the first person. When I think Richard, I think him.
Sacrifice.
I think of him first. Like, what would he do? What would happen to his baby?
No, please.
What are your thoughts about this? That the fact that the federal government is banning rituals, smoking, and glamorization of vices. Now, that also a bit, I don't know, do you think it's extreme?
I think, of course, for things like smoking and maybe drinking, because I didn't read the full story, I think that's a bit extreme, you know. These are, art imitates life, you know, so we watch what we see, or what happens in life, what occurs on a regular day. So if people smoke on a regular day, I don't know that telling them to not smoke in all movies is, I feel like that's a bit extreme. However, that ritual, I say thank you very much, sir. I agree. I am with you 100% because movies also have a way of just shaping people's opinion of us as a people. And we need to start changing that. In Hollywood, I mean, we all started seeing, let me not speak for everybody, but a lot of people started respecting America because of Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood is what made us feel like America, the president can never die.
Yes.
Actor no, they die.
Yes.
Everywhere is clean.
FBI will find you.
FBI will find you. No terrorist goes scot-free, you know? So Hollywood shaped the perception that we have of America. And I've shared this before. I remember my first time in New York, when I entered a pothole, I was confused. I said they'd not show me this thing. I never imagined that there'll be potholes. But over time, I started seeing these New York, smelly, there are rats, all sorts of things.
Beggars on the road.
Beggars on the road, you know, all of that. But we don't see that in movies. So they shape the perception of the world. Exactly. And I believe Nollywood has a responsibility to do that as well.
Let me come to you, lady. I mean, who wants to go first?
The actor.
Okay, yes. So this also happens to be one of my industry. And I know how the creatives may take this, like you're trying to stifle them. But I would like that they see beyond just the job, beyond just what you're given to do as an actor, a scriptwriter, a filmmaker who wants to produce and make money, and see to the extent of the greater good. I think we all should collaborate in trying to pass the right message about our country. I see other countries that have developed, and I know how intentional they are in everything that they do. Also in their storytelling. There's this one that everybody likes to watch all the time. You won't see kissing more than pecs from beginning to the end of the movie, and you will be so engaged. You will feel the romance, you will feel the emotions, you will feel the energy oozing out of your screens when you're watching it. And then there are some things that they have successfully taken out. You know that when you're watching this, so you're not expecting to see anybody naked, you're not expecting to see anybody stripping, you're not expecting to see this, but you have a good time and you will feel their story. And also, they would tell the stories about their culture. Those beautiful things about their culture is what they would portray, and then you are, when you travel, you're looking forward to seeing this about them because of their movies. So now, I'm happy that we're beginning to hold ourselves and beginning to hold our narratives and saying that for this, you people have told a lot of this. Now, can we move on to more important things about our culture that want other people to see?
You think that's a problem?
It's a good one.
Okay, so I mean, I fairly disagree, and I don't know who else disagrees, because I really do think that, and I'll come to you, Amaka, in a second, I really do think our problem is not the rituals. Our problem is the lack of branding of it. We've watched Harry Potter, lots of witchcraft movies that we used to, that I would never allow my child to watch it, but I see how they've almost glamorized witchcraft things that if you dare do it in Nigerian movies, they'll say, ah, you have called the witches of the centuries to come. So it's probably we're not packaging it properly. So yes, there are money rituals. It happens, as you said. But the truth is that there's a way you can communicate money rituals such that even somebody watching internationally understands that, okay, it could happen. Maybe it's some kind of mystic thing that happens in Africa that someone can actually create a character around it. That, oh my goodness, I can actually make money from this. So we're not branding it properly. So there's the idea is that, but there's a way you can communicate that such that it's not seen as money ritual killing human beings. I get the bad, the horrific and gory part of it, but I don't know. I'll come back to your own response. Let me hear Amaka's point.
Okay, so please, you see, one name why. What is the difference between taba and smoking? Taba means
tobacco now.
Tobacco. Snuffing, tobacco.
It's the same thing.
And it's the same thing, right? Okay. So there should be a balance. So I disagree with, I agree with you, Morayo, because you need to create a balance. This is art, entertainment, right? And then most times you find out that storytelling deals with our past, right? Projecting who we are, who we were. So, for example, you can't say you want to take away violence from our storytelling. Then that means we're not going to talk about slavery. We're not going to talk about wars. We're not going to talk about how do you tell those stories and project them for people to really understand. Do you understand? For the younger generation to understand. All those gory details must be part of it. This is just filmmaking. What the government can say is that, okay, the movies have to be more educational. But unfortunately, there's some movies that are not educational because if you talk about the documentaries about crimes, serial killers and stuff, people need to know those things. But there's nothing really educational about those stuff. But people need to be aware that they kidnapped some girls in Sambisa, in the north, schools, right? For how many years those girls have been impregnated? You need to showcase these things. They need to talk about the military, the terrorist people with their guns and the gory things that they do, so that people can learn.
But that is what.
No, it's still it's part of but it's still part of filmmaking. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, when you go on TV, you want to watch different things, and then when you talk about like age, that's why most movies are categorized like 18 plus, 13 plus, right? So that you know that a child is not supposed to watch that. Adult should watch this and then see how it progresses.
So amazing. I'm happy that you all went before me because my initial thought was, I don't think this is right. No, I thought that this was a good idea, actually. The smoking and drinking, I thought was a bit much. But, Mariah, the way you explained it, I agree totally, which is, it's not about completely banning it. It's how we should creatively tell the story in such a way that it still sends a good message to, the viewers, our children. I understand intentionality. The intentionality should not be in, the subject matter, that's the smoking or the drinking. The intentionality should be in the how we tell the story and how it ends. The many stories that I have watched on, the movies that have been quite popular, especially with the ritual stories, because I've heard people say, I've seen the ritual stories, they still end bad for the ritualists. But the truth is, when we tell the ritual stories, we say that it brings money, but it does not. So some people are thinking, well, this is going to bring the money anyway. Then we have the movies where they will throw stone and they say the one you pick, then you can live for 5 days and 15 days or 1 day or for 1 hour. So the story should tell, when we talk about ritual killings and things like that, it should tell us that, this does not work. It should tell us all the people that are involved because of that ritual killing. So creativity is important. And also for the people who will be in charge of looking at this, I'm worried that they don't Hizbah it. What I mean, like in the north, in Kano, they have the police, that like the religious police. And sometimes the context is not put into consideration. You just go and shut it down. The people that would have to be involved in this have to be part of the industry, the creative industry as well. You have to understand the aim of the story, the reason why some things will be highlighted in a story, not to say, they are smoking, dead this movie. Who is smoking? Why are they smoking? What is the message that you're sending? Because Nigeria, we have that problem where we can be quite overzealous sometimes.
Shut it down. Close it down.
And we lose the baby at the bathwater, everything, So I hope that when we sit down to do this, it will be, people that are involved in the creative industry. I understand. I want to see many of them. I mean, I just watched Funmilayo around some Kuti. I loved that movie. It gave me so much pride. You know, the way that we told our story, the strength that we depicted. If an Oyinbo man had told our story, it wouldn't have been told, you know, as well as we did. So I would like to see that, you know, the board sits with creatives on the best way to tell stories that involve vices.
Yeah, so I needed to understand that, first of all, ritual killing isn't our culture.
It's not?
No, it's not our culture. Yes. If you have conversations with the traditional heads and rulers and, you know, native doctors and all of that, it has never been our culture. It just came from people's greed, who now decide to say, okay, if I have to present fruits, for instance, for blessing, to do like a sacrifice for blessing, and, you know, I get that blessing, but it's not enough. What else can I do to get more of that blessing? I said, okay, bring blood. And it started with animal sacrifice. And before we realized it, we started hearing of human sacrifice. It's never in our culture. It's just the greed of, just the same way that the religious people you have somebody who is a pastor who is doing evil and somebody who is a pastor who is doing good. Every religion, they have people who choose to go the other way. So it isn't our culture.
Is money ritual real, though? Is it real?
Some people believe it's real.
Culture.
So the reason why... I want to...
So it's not our culture. It was something that evil people just decided to use, just the way you get into fraud and do this and do that, which has now branded us as part of our culture. And we need to change that. If you discuss with people who are abroad most of the time, they look forward to some of these movies and they use it to judge you when you travel. It's not that country that you people kill people. It's not that country people use people for blood money. You use people to make money and all of that. It has never been our culture. I'm not against telling our stories. Funmilayo Ransome Kuti was an example of how rich our culture is. But let's tell our culture the way it is, not with the embellishment of the greed that we want. And I think government can stand on it because it's not even our culture in the first place. Now, secondly, the populace that we have are not mature in to the extent that they cannot decipher for themselves. We have people who, because they have watched this movie, will decide to go and use their sister. And that's how the Yahoo Yahoo Plus started. Because if Kanayo can do it and get away with it, why don't I do it? I've been watching vampire movies for a very long time. I've never decided to become a vampire or want to come and bite Morayo's neck.
But you know there are some people...
It's not...
Nigerian people know, but Oyinbo people, they have that.
See, movies can be very impressive. Like, it can leave lasting impressions.
When we get to that point where the majority of the people can make the right decisions, then your 18 plus, your 16 plus, your 12 plus will work. Right now, the 18 plus, the 10-year-olds are watching it under our noses, and we feel there's nothing bad about it, right? So we have not succeeded in even telling the world our real story. So let's focus on the realness of our stories and take out some of those vices that deceive our young people, at least for the meantime. Find a creative way to tell it, just like you have said, which I agree, but also know that some things can be eliminated because of the image you want to project. We are not the only creatives. The Chinese are creatives. We see their story, how it goes. The Koreans are creative. We see how they tell their stories. They have a brand for themselves. The Indians are creative. We see that. Why don't we have a brand as Nigerians?
Yes.
It's also a possibility.
Yes. Which is what I was saying earlier. Like, we are the ones shaping the perception that people have of the country. Nollywood has a huge role to play in that, and I don't think money ritual should be glorified or even romanticized. People are impressionable, and we have many more stories to tell as a people. Sometimes I think some of these movies are even lazy decisions. They've seen that Kanayo, once I have him in my film, and I put him on the poster.
Man is acting a pastor.
Thank you.
But seriously, let me come in with this angle. I hear you guys clearly. But see, I want us to separate culture from imagination. That's why I asked a critical question. Is there anything as money ritual? I don't know. If you ask me, I'll say no. There's a possibility. Now, maybe some people say yes. Maybe they know. I have, as me, as Morayo, as I'm 44 years old today, I have never known anybody. I've been hearing about it, but I've never seen it.
But you never see it.
So in my thinking as a Nigerian, for me, it is somebody's imagination.
Thank you.
Because it was wait. If it's, as I said, on one conversation, let us say it's real, Abby. On this conversation as a Nigerian, I have never had, I didn't grow up in a village. Now imagine me as the next girl, maybe Chichi. She has never lived in the village. She has never lived anywhere. She's lived in the city all her life. So she has never heard of money ritual. Now she watches a movie and they're talking about money rituals. And then the angle where the movie is, it's like, it's not a culture, it's an imagination of the fact that I can get rich by doing this. Now, maybe not the bloody part. There's a way you can creatively do it such that I am seeing ritual in a way that it's an imagination, a creative imagination of a character, of a situation, of something that brings out money. It could not be a witch. It could be a nice cartoonish looking thing that comes out money every morning in the night. We have all these funny imaginations, all these foreign movies who come, all sorts of characters are crazy, where they grow money, or you can even wake up with money with the trees are bringing that money for you. It's imagination. So if you put it in that way, in Nigeria, internationally, they see it as an African imagination of where trees are growing money every morning. If you do an incantation in the morning, it brings out money. Now, if it exists, it's a different ball game. I don't know.
Tell the story.
We have to tell the story in the way it is. But I'm saying, as Nollywood, if we want to show that there's money ritual, real or no real, don't do it the way you think you've seen it or the way they've told you it is. Do it from a creative angle, where you are making it like something we can actually connect or relate with and be proud of. Not because we see these things internationally all the time.
Okay.
They will bring it. They will bring it, and you're thinking, what is this?
Okay. So I think what may be happening for us now, or what will be best for us, is we've already created a narrative.
Yes.
Which is, this exists in Nigeria, this works, and this is what everybody does. So to change it, before we start making them cartoonish characters, we have to change that perception,
first of all.
And so it will involve, because you mentioned something, there's some lazy storytelling that I see. You know, you just know that put people, they are killing for rituals, and bam, end of story. We need to tell the stories in such a way that there's depth and there's thought. There's a lot that is happening right now. You know, with TV, we're able to censor it, but you know, there's a lot that goes on online now. Short films, a lot that goes, you know, the board is unable to see, and a lot of people are watching those movies online. And so, for me, that is where the danger is. So before we start making them into cartoon, just to help change the mindset.
I like the idea of the cartoon.
I'm just saying, I'm just using cartoon, you know, loosely. Meaning, before we start even making it like a Harry Potter or something, let's make sure that we're intentional about the people who are making the videos, the scripting, and the way the movies
So it should be scientific.
So, well, I don't know about
in scientific, there has to be a way, a method on how you do it. So there is a clear method that's agreed by the industry. If you want to do this kind of movies, these are the steps you must take. Because it has to be scientific. But I can mention.
And then, you know, Bisi talked about culture that is not our culture, but the thing with life is that it's ever evolving. Whether it was our culture, the thing is that it's our culture today. It's our culture that people believe it. It's our culture that people are doing it. And so we have to try and change the story. And in changing the story would not be done by just taking it off completely on our, from our storytelling. It has to be told in such a way that this thing you used to see, these ritual killings you used to associate with Nigerians, this is actually what it is. You know, now we're learning that many of this ritual killing is not about spirituality, is that they're actually harvesting organs. Let's tell those stories. There's no spiritual thing that is going to come out and give you money. They're just making it in such a way that you're selling organs, and then people would still learn from that.
Let's take a few comments on social media. Let's see what we have. Any comments yet?
Damilala says, we don't have problems with vampire films or zombie films, but we have problems with ritual films. Nigeria, as if any ritual film has ever depicted rituals to be good. Truth is Truth says, banning is the best thing. There are many stories that one can write, or true life story instead of money ritual killing. Fiona says, in the end, these movies will send the message that money ritual is not good. So they end up sending the message that money ritual is not good at the end of the day.
No, but, you know, it's not at the end of the day. There's a way we tell the story. You would have taken us through the process of the killing and the making of the money. Then the person buys the house, he buys the car, he's traveling the world. You would show us the largesse. By the time you now show us, everybody dies. Exactly. Everybody dies now. So everybody says, you know what, let's enjoy it while we're alive.
All right, let's go on a short break. I think we really talked about this topic and we've thrashed it the best we can, but really in a nutshell, We expect that the government is doing the right thing. I like what Miriam said. Let's put a lot of depth and thought into it and do it properly. But I also agree with Toyosi and BC. The perception out there is that we're a country of ritual killers, and we need to really change that perception because it affects people like you when you're doing it. So we have to find a way to get a middle ground. Let's go on a short break. When we come back and take our second topic, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.